Well, a sportscaster right here in Southern California has brought his passion project to life. NFL Network's Mike Yam is an advocate for social issues, specifically in the Asian American community, and now he's entered the world of children's literature. I caught up with Yam about his book centered around a unique food combination, fried rice and marinara. Sports fans know him as the former face of the Pac-12 network.
Every single Tuesday on Pac-12 Network.
And now the host of NFL Total Access on NFL Network.
Here's what I'll tell you. It really is one answer.
But Mike Yam has recently gained a new title, children's author. And there's a very specific reason why.
It became abundantly clear to me that there just was this huge, massive void in the market. I started thinking about the books that I had when I was a kid, and I can tell you which ones were my favorite ones. I still remember my mom reading to me and the pages being frayed because it was the same books over and over again that I loved. But as an adult, when I reflect back to those stories, I realized that none of them featured an Asian character. None of them featured a family of mixed race heritage.
Yam was raised in a multicultural household. His father is Chinese and his mother Italian, hence the clever book title.
The title Fried Rice and Marinara was one that it only took about 5 seconds for me to come up with, only because when I was in high school, I took Italian, and my friends would always ask, like, hey, what do you have at like family dinners? And I would say, like, hey, we have Chinese food and Italian food. And one of my buddies had said to me with a chuckle, you ever have fried rice and marinara? I graduated in 1999, so 20 plus years later, that title still resonated, which is a big reason why I decided to go with it.
The predicament in Fried Rice and Marinara centers around Mikey Yam's 4th birthday and a big decision that he's confronted with.
Huge dilemma. I mean, the biggest dilemma you could possibly face as a 4-year-old, right? Which is, Mikey goes and his mom says, hey, because it's your 4th birthday, what kind of food do you want? And because Mikey is Chinese and Italian, he feels like he's getting pulled in 2 different directions. So of course he goes to his grandmother's, his food gurus, and his Italian grandmother says, well, in Italy we had Italian food, and his Chinese grandmother says in Hong Kong we had Chinese food. So this dilemma just continues to percolate for him, and he goes to the park, and his friend Sophia says, well, you're Chinese and Italian, just have both. And immediately it clicks in his head, fried rice and marinara. He tells his mom, and his mom's like, okay, it sounds kind of unique, we'll see what happens. And not to give the spoiler alert away, but I'll give it away, it was a huge hit in town with his friends.
The fact that Yam could actually be a sports broadcaster, a successful one at that, never occurred to him as a child.
I got to college pre-med, and it wasn't until I got cable for the first time in my dorm my freshman year, I'm watching ESPN and I see Michael Kim on television. I'm like, oh my God, I've never seen an Asian dude do sports before. Like, it just never, I've never seen that. And I think that moment, it clicked in my head, hey, Mike, maybe this is a viable path.
Now as an author, he hopes to make an indelible impact for the next generation. How do you think maybe the way you thought about things would have been different had this book been written when you were a kid?
I can't even imagine how different things would have been for me. I'd still, hopefully, still land at a spot like this at NFL Network doing Total Access. That would still be amazing to me, but I think the path to get here would have looked drastically different. And I think if I had a story like Fried Rice and Marinara and saw, other Asian members of the community on television doing sports, that would have planted a seed, I think, a little bit earlier in my life.